This video demonstration is about rotating your image and then also using edit transform tools to straighten out lines or to exaggerate curved lines or to change the perspective of an image. So the very first thing that you're going to want to do is click on your background layer and drag and drop it to the new layer icon to make a copy. And let's go ahead and call this retouch. You absolutely have to have a retouch layer when using edit transform tools because you cannot do them to your background. So if for whatever reason I wanted to rotate this image because it were not set into Photoshop in the correct way, or I wanted to create some kind of cool optical illusion by rotating it, I can go up to image rotation, and I can rotate it in any way that I want to. So if I rotate it 90 degrees clockwise, what that's going to do is that's going to move that sort of one direction to the right clockwise. And that will set it up like so. Okay, I'm going to press Command Z to step backward. So you can rotate as many times as you need to. If you need to flip it by any chance, you can click flip horizontal, and that will just change the direction that you are viewing it. So Command and Z just makes it backwards. In terms of straightening out lines or exaggerating the curve of lines or changing the perspective of an image, you have to go up to Edit and scroll down to Transform. The first option that you're going to see is Scale. And when you click on Scale, what this does is it pops up with these bounding boxes right here for you. You have to typically drag from a corner and hold down the Shift key to resize so you maintain the proportions of the image. If you don't do that, you can actually end up resizing the image so that it's not its correct proportions and it just looks weird. So Command Z, let's step backward, and then I'm going to hold down the Shift key on my keyboard and resize this just a little bit. You can click the checkbox or you can click Enter on your keyboard to place that. Moving on now to talk about Edit Transform, and we're going to skip Rotate because the best way to rotate an image really is to do it through Image and Image Rotation. We're going to select Skew. And what Skew does is it straightens out lines that should be straight but really are just kind of off. Like this line right here should be perfectly straight, but it's a little bit crooked, so we need to adjust that. This is very difficult to do by eyeballing, so it's important to go up to View, scroll down to Show, and then pull up a grid system for you. This is really nice because it pops up with this temporary grid system to help you kind of align and straighten up these lines a little bit better. So taking a look at this line right here, it's a little bit bending to the right up here, and it's kind of lower and then to the left over here on the bottom. So I'm actually going to double click on this corner and I'm going to pull this to the left to straighten out that line. And what you'll notice is that now if I follow this grid system all the way down, it's actually lining up really nicely on the same line right here. Okay, so straightening out the line, making it more even, really, really crucial. Okay, you can also adjust the lines that are running in the opposite direction as well. So I'm a little bit crooked maybe on this line right here, so I might want to double click and just adjust that line as well and straighten that out too. So you can use any of these little corner points right here to correct lines that really should be straight but maybe just aren't perfectly there yet. So click Enter to apply that. And let's go up to View, Show, and Grid to turn off that grid system. And that line is so much more straight. If I turn the eyeball off and on, you can see the difference there. Okay? If you want to exaggerate lines, perhaps through like curving them a little bit more, you can select Warp. So if I wanted to kind of pull this little area maybe up a little bit more and make that line just a little bit more curved, I could do that. So Warp is nice because it actually allows you to select in very specific parts of the image to straighten out areas. Okay, so I'll click Enter and we'll turn the eyeball off and on. So that was before and after, okay? Another cool thing that you can do in Edit Transform is you can use perspective. And what perspective does is it actually changes the view of the image, so it looks like you were actually standing in a location that you were not. So what I can do with this image is if I pull out this edge right here, it actually looks like I was standing more kind of closer to the stairs right here, whereas with this view, it looked like I was standing right overhead looking down. So here it looks like I'm kind of standing a little bit closer to the stairs, and then here it looks like I was standing directly overhead of the balcony. So changing the perspective, sometimes it can look a little bit fake, but sometimes it can be a cool thing to adjust. Okay, so before and after. So that is using Edit Transform tools. So make sure that if you, especially if you have any crooked lines that are very obviously not straight, that you are skewing those. And if you want to play around with warp and perspective as well, then those are good things to do too.